Hello guys, Al here. I'm back to do a little video about some tips and tricks uh, when playing. Some things that might be useful for maybe the newer players of the game, and some tips might be useful even for more experienced players in Age of Empires. Um, So, tip number one I have to share with you is the opening phase of the game. Since seconds matter in this game, especially the higher up you go in the ranks, uh, just getting the opening done effectively saves you a couple of seconds. So you know when the game is loading and you head straight into this screen, then you have a couple of seconds delay before the town center is accessible. Um, so what you want to do is, once the loading screen is done, you want to spam click the TC until you can interact with it, and then just press Q once or twice to queue up workers. The second thing you want to do is to send your workers to whatever they are gonna do. I see a lot of people try to a lot of openings revolves around splitting workers all early on, and I see a lot of people try to drag select and do it like this early on, which might cost you precious time. So it's much easier to just, I use double click, you can use drag select as well, but then you might get the scout if you're not precise with it. So I just double click a worker, select them all, and I send them to the straggler tree, for example, and then, like if you're HRE, you take 1, 2, 3 workers and then you send them out to the go mine and do the stuff. That is just a faster way to get going. That I find useful. And afterwards you've done that, you take your scout and send them away. So first queue up 1 or 2 workers, then send the villagers to do what they're supposed to do, and then take your scout and start working with him. And speaking of the scout, I have tip number 2 is to put him on a mouse key. I have a mouse that has side buttons, so I can always cycle through idle scouts. I think the option is in the menu. So that way it's always easy to find a scout. It's useful in many situations, like in the opening, for example. Third tip I wanted to share with you is using the straggler trees. Many builds today, you wanna get early field presence, you wanna push out early units, like if you're playing English, for example. If you skip the lumber camp and go for straggler trees instead, you can get faster and more longbowmen on the field. Like my guy that recently dropped on YouTube for Delhi, I used the stragglers to get a stable earlier and can put pressure earlier. It's just super valuable to use the stragglers when they are this close to the TC. Some maps have further distance of the stragglers, and then it might not be as valuable. But most maps, stragglers are close to TC, so you might as well use them before you build a lumber camp. Next thing I want to talk about is having your scout together with your main army, and that is when there's very useful in fights. So as you can see now, this is actually the vision of my army, and if there were an opponent army coming in from this side, I would have less time to react to it. Either if the army is stronger than mine, I will take damage while retreating. Like if there's longbows here and they start firing, then you will take some damage before you have time to react. And also, if it is a fight that you're willing to take, and you actually have your scout around, and can see the opponent's size, then it's easier to shift click the spearman with the archers, for example. So now you have all the vision over here. You can, before the battle commences, you can take the archers, you can shift click on the spearman, and then work with your horsemen instead, or your gas areas or whatever you're using. So that is a very useful thing to have your scout together with your main army. Next tip I'm show you is about tanking night charge, which can be useful in the early skirmishes, like for example gas raiders can beat a knight if you have 2 gases, and especially if you have a scout with them, you can beat a knight if you do it correctly with some micro. So tanking a night charge is basically you're running here with your few units, a knight comes in and starts charging at you. So what you want to do is you want to move backwards. You want to press your mouse key, which selects your scout, and then A, move him towards the knight. And then you will take the whole group and attack the knight. So it looks kind of like this. We run back. Yeah, something like that. Run back, mouse key, attack, 1, attack. But you need to do it faster than that. And that way the knight will charge in at your scout, and your gas raiders or your horsemen are free to do damage afterwards. Just make sure to pull back the scout before it dies, because you don't want to lose it, obviously. Alright. And also you can use the scout effectively with something I call pulling the spears. So normally, if you're the one that want to harass the opponent, he might put some spears to defend his gold mine. So what you actually can do is you're moving in with your units, and since you have your scout with you, you have vision, you see beforehand that okay, there's spears over here. So what you can do is you hold your knights or your horsemen a little bit back, you move in with your scout, and then move away. And by default, if these aren't on whole ground or something like that, they will follow the scout away, which means that you can go on from this direction and hit the workers. So that is very useful, especially early on. If the opponent isn't paying attention, his spears will keep on following your scout, and then you move in. Very useful. Next thing I want to talk about is binding your idle workers to a key. So I for example use tab for that. So whenever I see that I have idle workers, I can just press tab. I can see who is idle, and then you can send them off to work. Do note that if you for example have a worker that is idle over here as well, then it will select all villagers that are idle, but only soon to this location. So be sure to press the key you're using, tab in my example, and then you select the workers that you want to arrange, send them to work, then press tab again, you find the next few villagers, you select them and then send them to work. Because if you don't do it like that, you might send workers from all across the screen to here, and then these workers will go as well. So that is something to be aware of. Next thing is the key select all idle military. I have a key for that as well. Some players use the select all army button, but I don't find that so good, because that will select maybe you have people guarding a gold mine, or you have units going for a raid. You might have your scout looking at something, and you don't want him to be pulled as well. So I use the select all idle military, and the way if you want to to guard a certain location, you take the units, you press D, and then just have them on patrol, like this. Pressing the select all idle military now will not select those units. So they will keep on guarding. The ones that are moving for a raid won't be selected either. They will continue on their raid. If you have a scout, he won't be selected either if you put him on patrol. So that is a useful way, so that when you want to group up your army, you select all idle military and then group them up like that, and your scout will stay on his location, these guys will stay on theirs, and these guys will stay here. Very useful. Next tip I want to show you is something I call horseman dancing. I have never heard it described in any other way, so I'm gonna use that one. So before a fight commences, this is especially if you're fighting a archer and horseman combo, like I most of the time do, and especially useful if the opponent goes for an archer and spearman composition, like English, for example. So horseman dancing is basically, you see the opponent over here, you move in with your archers, you might pre-select some of the, pre-target some of the spears, or you just A-move them. And then what you want to do is, once the unit is coming close, you want to have your horseman or Gazireis in this example right in the front. That way the opponent might target fire your horsemen a lot more, which saves, and they have some ranged defense, so that is better than they waste shots on the horseman. So you charge in, you move back, and you dance a little bit, and then you charge in, go back, and that's basically how you do the horse dancing. So try to thin out their lines of spearmen before you actually engage. And also here the select scout comes in handy, because once you charge in with your cavalry like this, you can just bring your scout back, and you still have division, but you keep your scout safe. Next tip is especially for Delhi. So I see a lot of people struggle with this. Once you get your tech to produce villagers from your keeps, I see a lot of players select the keep and then they start spamming villagers on this one, and then you go to the next keep and you do the same thing and go to the next keep, and that's just very ineffective. So what you want to do is that you first want to select your town center and put it on a which you probably already have in a control group. You select the town center, then you select the keep and put it on the same control group, and then you can see you will have this option to train villagers, and it will actually come out from both buildings at the same time, like that. So it saves you a lot of time. Just remember that you have to select the TC first or it won't work. And the last tip I have to share with you is something I picked up quite recently, and it's when you want to split out units. Because a lot of times you might have your main army like this, all mixed up, and you want to, like for example, you want to send a couple of units away to heal or to decap or capture a sacred site or something like that. Instead of trying to find a couple of units, press Alt and deselect them from the control group, I find it much easier to take the whole army or the whole control group, you send them to the location which you want to harass or defend or heal or whatever you want to do. So you send them off, then you deselect a couple of units, then you press Control 1 and you send the units back. Now these guys are selected and you kept your control group intact. So I've seen a lot of pro players use it, and I started to use this the same technique as well. Very useful. Alright guys, that's the 11 tips I had to share with you. I hope you find one of them useful or some of them useful. And do let me know what you think down below if you have any questions. Or just what you think of the video. Alright guys, thank you for watching and good luck out there. See you. Bye.